Hello and welcome everybody to the webinar of Unlocking the Funding Opportunities
Hello.
Hi.
with Interreg Programme. Hello everybody, we just started and welcome. The webinar is organized as a part of Microfinance Center activities under EU Project Financial Inclusion for Green Inclusive Growth in Europe. My name is Pavel Kapsdorfer and I am MFC Network and Partnership Manager, and I will moderate today's webinar. Today, we will try to share with you the main information about one of the EU granting instruments called Interreg, which is available for EU, accession, and 18 neighboring countries. It is a key granting instrument playing a major role in promoting regional development, cohesion, and reducing economic disparities across Europe. Within the programming period 2021 and 2027, Interreg is focused on addressing current challenges like climate change, digital transformation, and social inclusion with a budget amounting to euro 10 billion. Let me talk now about our plan for today and our housing rules. Our webinar is planned for about 90 minutes. That will include presentations from our two expert speakers and also your question and answers. The webinar is going to be recorded. We invite you to keep your cameras on, but please keep your microphones muted. My colleague, Maria Salamon, will be assisting you through chat with any technical issues and make sure that our session will go smooth. In case you would like to pose the question or comment, please do it via chat or raise your hand to the dashboard under the button reactions, and I will invite you to unmute and speak. At the end of the webinar, before we end up the webinar, we would very much appreciate if you stay engaged for additional 1 to 2 minutes to fill our poll, our survey to evaluate the webinar. I will launch this poll at the end of the webinar on your screens. It is very important for us to receive your feedback. The survey will open on your screen before I end up the webinar. I have a pleasure to introduce our two speakers for today. It's Martina Paternity, Project Coordinator from European Network of Social Integration Enterprises. And her experience are quite rich in terms of working with different European programs, working more than 3 years at Euroactive, a pan-European media publishing on European affairs, as European project manager. She has experience in managing projects with number of programs and initiatives within European Union, and she has worked also as an independent bit writer in collaboration with Comunicazione EuropeNet, responsible for drafting technical and financial parts of the projects. And today, Martina is project coordinator at ENSI, responsible for managing and supervising European projects, drafting project proposals, as well as following policy dossier linked to digitization and skills. Let me also introduce our second speaker, Irma Tomic, project officer at the Joint Secretariat of Interreg Northwest Europe. She is in charge of implementing the program results orientation strategy at the project level. She is supervising a project portfolio, meaning continuous monitoring of project implementation, day-to-day support to project partners, solutions to practical problems, as well as assessing project applications on the basis of the eligibility and quality assessment criteria, and also providing high-level and proactive assistance to individual applicants in development of their projects. So you have right persons here to answer all your questions, which we hope will come up from your side, just to clarify all the opportunities you might have with this program. Let me also say a few words about our ongoing or upcoming activities. Here I present Transform Together Fund. This is a call for proposals organized by MFC and Syriza SPTF, which is a nice project focused on green and digital transition. for social finance actors and micro-entrepreneurs. This is a project which is running up to July 2025, and the project is funded by European Commission under Employment and Social Innovation Strand of the European Social Fund Plus. And we are looking to support innovative green and digital approaches or solutions that will benefit vulnerable micro-entrepreneurs groups. We assume to approve approximately 10 projects with the budget up to 50,000 euro, and the project will support up to 90% of eligible costs. I would like to promote also upcoming webinar, which is also thanks to ENSI, prepared on Horizon Europe, which is another, very large program of European Union. And we hope that you will also take part in this webinar to learn what opportunities do you have to be part of this program. And the last activity and even I would like to present and to remind you is the next edition. It's already the third edition of Social Finance Wipe with the subtitle Empowering the Future, which we organize on 21st and 22nd November 2023, and you are very much welcome. It's fully virtual, free online conference, which is going to provide a fresh perspective on latest trends in the social economy, including green initiatives, digital innovations, skills building. We will offer over 30 sessions with more than 40 speakers, influential leaders in social finance, MFI representatives, investors, service providers, thought-provoking think tanks, and inspiring EU-level networks, and also country-level associations. So the registration has been already open, and you are very much welcome to participate on this event. Let me now give a floor to our speakers to share their presentations and experience. And just from the organizational point of view, Martina is going to give you a nice overview of Interreg Programme. And after her part of the presentation, we would like to organize short Q&A. So please feel free to post your questions regarding her presentation into chat, or keep it until she is going to end up with her slides, and feel free to ask questions afterwards. Then we will hand over to our dear second speaker, to Irma, and she will continue with her part. So thank you very much for your attention up to now, and I'm giving the floor to Martina. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna share my screen indeed.
Please.
Okay. So welcome everybody. So I'm indeed Martina Paterniti, project coordinator at ENSI. Pavel already introduced me. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna provide you indeed with an overview about the Interreg program for the current budget period of the European Union, which goes from 2021 to 2027. Virginia, ENSI project assistant, is also in the audience currently. Given that I will be talking about several sub-programs with the available links, she will be posting them also in the chat. I also put some hyperlinks in my presentation, but given that it will be provided to you afterwards, you will also be able to jump to those kind of links during my presentation if you wish to do so. So this is an overview about the content we are gonna through. First, indeed, I will be providing you with some overview about the funds that are available for these Interreg programs. Then I'm gonna go more into details when it comes to some sub-programs such as Interreg Europe, cross-border, but also transnational, Eurobact, and finally, I will spotlight some calls for proposals available currently. So let's start indeed with this overview. Interreg is one of the key instruments of the European Union supporting cooperation across borders through project funding. So the overall aim is to jointly tackle common challenges and find shared solutions in fields such as health, environment, research, education, transport, sustainable energy, and more. So there are a lot of topics that are covered. This is because Interreg programs are indeed part of the EU cohesion policy. Interreg plays a vital role in promoting regional development, cohesion, and also to reduce economic disparities. So for the 2021-2027 period, Interreg has specific focuses, and this is indeed in order to address the current challenges like climate change, digital transformation, and social inclusion. So these are the three main topics indeed. All Interreg programs aim in general at promoting better cooperation across countries within the designated regions. And this is in order to find efficient solutions to common territorial, economic, and social challenges, which are too broad to be dealt with efficiently at national level. This is indeed one of the main aims of the European cohesion policy. So this is a key instrument in order to enable indeed the European cohesion policy. Through this policy, the European Union is working to reduce disparities in development and the quality of life in European regions. So cohesion policy supports actions that helps European regions to be more innovative, sustainable, but also more inclusive. And this is in order to improve the quality of life for people and communities. So indeed, this is the tool, Interreg. So currently, as it was also mentioned by Pavel at the very beginning, the Interreg programs amount to an overall budget of 10 billion euros from the European Regional Development Fund. So through its cohesion policy, the European Union is working once again to reduce those disparities. In general, the European Union is enabling through this tool regional and local actors. So Interreg is mainly addressing actors that are operating on the ground. And of course, this is also the result of a very long policy framework that was enabled, that was kicked off since 1990 and became a cohesion policy objective in 2007. Sorry, so Interreg was initially launched in 1987 as a community initiative, and since then Interreg has continued to develop its instruments, its sub-programs, and currently we are at the 6th generation of the program. This is also in order to give you a bit of historical overview indeed about the instrument we are talking about. So about the sub-programs, we can cluster them into four main programs. We have cross-border, we have transnational, interregional and outermost regions. On top of that, we also have some transversal programs which are crossing, crossing actually the cross-border programs and the transnational programs, but we will see that into details afterwards. So I'm starting indeed with the cross-border program. So the cross-border sub-program of Interreg is addressing only NUTS 3 regions. So I'm gonna focus on that in my next slides, but basically they are small regions for specific diagnosis. So the European Union, Eurostat as well, is trying to cluster European regions according to different criteria. So Interreg programs are also following these trends. They are trying to address different kind of challenges according to the size of the regions we are talking about. So it appears clearly from exchanges with the border regions and their representatives, certain key local issues faced by citizens and businesses crossing borders on a daily basis need further actions, and these can come up only thanks to collaboration across this kind of regions. So crossing borders to find employment, receive better healthcare, make use of public facilities, or receive emergency support can still cause difficulties, of course. Some examples I'm also reporting in these slides are taxation or pension rights issues, or also try to receive better healthcare systems. So those are clearly obstacles that common people are facing nowadays. And these, of course, need joint actions. So most of the remaining obstacles stem from diverging national legislation on either side of the border. National legislation is border blind, we could say. And this is also due to incompatible administrative processes or simply lack of common territorial planning. So in the light of all these obstacles, the cross-border Interreg program is trying to tackle these gaps and needs. So to go more in depth about this cross-border cooperation program, this is known indeed as Interreg A. It supports indeed, once again, cooperation between NUTS 3 region. I also posted a map of the kind of regions we are talking about. So once again, NUTS 3 region are very small sized regions. So the size is the one you can see in this picture. I'm also putting some hyperlinks indeed in this presentation that you can check. In general, it supports indeed cooperation from at least 2 different member states lying directly on the borders or adjacent to them. Within this specific strand, we have different sub-programs. In general, cross-border cooperation aims to tackle common challenges, identifying jointly in the border regions, and also to exploit the untapped growth potential in border areas, while enhancing the cooperation process for the purposes of the overall harmonious development of the Union. So we have 49 programs within the European Union, which are focusing on turning border obstacles into opportunities. And this is mainly addressing the European Union member states. So these are the main eligible countries. Then we also have Interreg IPA, which are another strand indeed of cross-border cooperation. And here we are talking about 10 sub-programs which are operating at EU's border with the IPA countries. So IPA is instrument for pre-accession assistance. I'm gonna also focus on this in one of my following slides, but this is also in order to give you an overview of these. So these are not only European Union member states, also other kind of countries are eligible. And they are, well, these sub-programs are mainly addressing indeed the EU's enlargement policy. So this is why we are also talking about extra European Union countries. And then on top of that, of course, we also have Interreg Next. And there we have 14 next sub-programs, and these are mainly addressing countries that are even not neighbors countries of the European Union. We still have additional eligible countries. I also have a slide especially on this, so I'm gonna move forward so we can see that into details. So something more about those cross-border cooperation programs. Indeed, they aim at developing untapped potential to boost economic development in often peripheral regions. They contribute, of course, to harmonious territorial development by retaining brains in the border areas, which is also a current challenge, increasing challenge in the European Union. And of course, the main aim is to enhance the quality of life in the often peripheral border regions, notably via instruments in innovation, healthcare, education, employment, and labor mobility. So integrated cooperation approaches aiming at exploiting together this kind of economic development. In particular, the more integrated stages of cross-border cooperation contribute to retain also qualified people and all the different competencies that are developed among youngsters and in the ongoing evolving labor market. So we have specific eligible countries. Once again, well, we have the 27 European Union member states, and on top of that, we also have Andorra, Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland, and United Kingdom. These are the main eligible countries. For the strand, there is indeed about European Union programs. So that's the first strand I was showing in my previous slides. But then on top of that, as I was mentioning to you, there's also the IPA instrument, which is also part of this cross-border cooperation Interreg program. So IPA is once again instrument for pre-accession assistance. We have 10 sub-programs operating at the EU's border with IPA countries, indeed, mainly supporting the EU's enlargement policy. So here I put the 10 sub-programs we are talking about. As you can see, they are very specific according to the regions we are talking about. This is why, of course, I cannot in this during this webinar go into details for every kind of sub-programs. The information is very detailed according to the sub-program we are talking about. I recommend following also the links because every region is setting up their own priorities according to the needs, the specific policy needs that have been identified by the regions, by the national, sometimes also regional, local authorities, in cooperation, of course, with the civil society organization when it's relevant. Here, I also try to spotlight the eligible countries we are talking about when it comes to the instrument for pre-accession assistance. So we have indeed the 27 European Union member states, but we also have Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Republic of North Macedonia, Montenegro, Serbia, and Turkey. So to give you also some more insights about this IPA instrument. So it is a specific strand of cross-border cooperation, but as I was also previously mentioned, there's also an overlapping with the transnational program that we will see, part also of Interreg that we will see afterwards. So in general, it supports the collaboration once again between candidate countries, potential candidate countries, and European Union member states. This is also why there's a focus on regions at the border of the European Union, of course, and that's in order to contribute to their accession preparation. Of course, these entail a lot of topics that need to be addressed. Then I was also mentioning indeed Interreg Next Cooperation, which is also a specific strand within cross-border Interreg program. And there's also a slight overlap with the transnational program. Still, this is entailing 15 sub-programs, which is also a lot, and they are implemented covering 12 land borders, 1 sea crossing, and 3 sea basins, stretching from Finland in the north to countries like Hungary and Ukraine in the east, and Italy, Northern Africa, and the Middle East in the south. So before, just to give you also an extra information, before the Russia-Ukraine war, also Russia and Belarus were eligible. Currently, of course, as you know, as you may already know, of course, funding for Russia and Belarus have been stopped, given the current war. There are still some collaboration, of course, with the regions at the border with the Russia and Belarus. So this is why Ukraine is also eligible. I tried also to resume the eligible countries in this slide. So as you can see, there are a lot. The program strategies are defined around the EU objectives, once again, for smarter, greener, more connected, more social Europe, and neighborhood, and addressing the regional needs regarding good cooperation governance and more secure borders. So the special focus in general is given to green and digital transition in its cooperation dimension. And there are also specific sub-programs. So this is also about the Baltic Sea, Danube, and the Carpathian region, Black Sea basins, and Mediterranean Sea basins. Once again, I absolutely recommend going checking the different sub-programs, because it really depends on the region you are located in. So about the transnational Interreg program, this is known as Interreg B. It aims to promote better cooperation and the regional development within the Union, and this is to be done by a joint approach to tackle common issues. So Interreg B, so the transnational Interreg program, is supporting a wide range of projects related to innovation, environment, accessibility, telecommunication, urban development, etc. So once again, also here we have a lot of sub-programs. We have 14 transnational cooperation programs. We also have once again some overlaps, as I was mentioning before, with the IPA, meaning the instrument for pre-accession countries, but also something about about next. So here I also put the links for Interreg Baltic Sea region, Interreg Danube region, Interreg IPA Adrian, Interreg Alpine Space programs, which are about some specific regions of the European Union, but not only indeed, given that we are also looking at the neighbor countries. So 80% of their thematic concentration should align with a macro-regional strategy. This is why indeed I was saying it's absolutely important that you also go check what are the policy objectives set up in that specific regions, also by local and regional authorities. So about the transnational program in general, projects should pursue the following goals. So innovation, environment and climate change, digital connectivity and sustainable transport, sustainable regional development, especially in terms of education, labor markets and cooperation, but also cultural heritage and sustainable tourism development, capacity building, governance, but also people-to-people actions and engagement. So here I also try to put the eligible countries we are talking about. Then I wanted also to mention something about the outermost regions. So those are addressing specific regions. Indeed, once again, that's about cooperation among neighboring countries in the most remote European regions. So we are especially talking about Amazonia, Caribbean space, Middle Atlantic, Indian Ocean, and Mozambique Channel. And then we also have the interregional program, which is also known as Interreg C. So this works at the pan-European level, covering all the European Union member states and more. It builds networks to develop good practice and facilitate the exchange and transfer of experience by successful regions. And it showcases what regions do well to the benefit of those still investing resources. And we have 4 sub-programs within Interregional. We have ESPON, Interact, Interreg Europe, and Urbact. So I wanted also to give you an overview about Interreg Europe. So I already mentioned more or less the mission, so that's needed to improve the implementation of regional development policies, including investment for jobs and growth goal programs. And of course, it entails actions such as the exchange of experiences, innovative approaches, and capacity building in relation to the identification, dissemination, and transfer of good practices among regional policy actors. So here in this case, we are talking about a budget amounting to 379 million euro. And this is, of course, once again for the 2021-2027 period. The eligible countries in this case are the 27 member states plus Norway and Switzerland. The outputs foreseen are interregional cooperation projects, but there's also a policy learning platform where any kind of actor can access in order to already see what are the ongoing projects and take also inspiration from them. The main beneficiaries are public authorities, but also public law bodies and private non-profit bodies. This is not applying to the previous sub-programs I was mentioning, because that kind of programs are accessible for any kind of organization, so either private for profit, either private non-profit. Of course, the eligibility about the consortium requirement change according to the sub-program. This is why it's absolutely important that you go checking the specific sub-program applying to the region you are belonging to. So in general, about Interreg Europe, the topics covered are 6. So SMART, which is SMART Europe, which is about research and innovation capacity, digitalization, SMEs competitiveness, industry and entrepreneurship, digital connectivity. Then we have green, energy efficiency, renewable energy, smart energy systems, climate change, water, and so on. We have also connected, so that's about connected Europe. So this is also sustainable mobility, for instance. Then we have social, education, social inclusion, integration of third country national, healthcare, and so on. Citizens, which is about integrated urban development, but also integrated non-urban. So that's also about the rural areas, for instance. And then governance, which is about policy, regional governance in general. I wanted also to spotlight about Eurobact, because I think that can be very relevant for microfinance organizations. So the overall mission is to promote integrated sustainable development in cities. And this is to improve cities' policies and improve the effectiveness of cohesion policy. Once again, we need projects are aiming at tackling the green, just, and digital transition through collaboration, capacity building, and exchange of specific expertise. So cities basically can learn a great deal from each other's experiences. That's why Eurobact funds and support the networks of cities by involving different kind of actors. So partners share ideas around bottom-up initiatives and co-design long-term strategies and urban policies. And this is at European and local level. So we are talking about a budget of 84 million euros. The eligible countries are once again the 27 member states plus Norway, Switzerland, and countries benefiting from IPA, which are which is the instrument for pre-accession assistance. And once again, I remind it's a EU financial instrument to support the candidate countries in preparing for their accession to the European Union. So I remind once again, also the kind of countries we are talking about. That's, for instance, Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Serbia, and so on. So This is also more like the expected impact for your BACT. So once again, trying to increase the capacity at local level for sustainable urban development, which is entailing a lot of different actions, and in general also access to sources of funding. This is why indeed I think that can be very relevant for microfinance organization, given that they are accessing, they are enabling also local actors to increase their income, their funding sources in general. So here I wanted also to spotlight on some available calls at the moment. These are continuously open calls. So we have some cross-border cooperation in Czech Republic and Bayern, which is a specific region, of course, in Germany. We also, there's also an open call in the Aurora Sapmi, which are some regions in Finland, Sweden, and Norway. Another call in Czech Republic, Poland, and another call in Rhine Superior, Oberrhein. So these are specific regions in France, Germany, and Czech Republic. Here I put the links. So I know that it was a lot of information. There are, of course, other available calls at the moment, but these are the always open one. Thanks for your attention. This is my contact, and of course, the floor is open for questions.
Thank you, Martina, for your presentation. I think just to make sure for everybody who has the question about the slides, we will share the slides with all registered participants after the webinar to make sure that to reply the question we received in chat. We received the question from Pellat. Is there any calls open for pre-accession countries? Are there any calls open for pre-accession countries?
Normally, yes. The thing is that I am not able to answer you about the specific calls available at the moment, because they are always managed by every kind of sub-program. Irma, correct me if I'm wrong, but normally, so the ones I was talking about that were available in my last slide are the always open one. So in a continuous mode. And then for the pre-accession countries, you should check the specific sub-program.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Darian. Is there any call open by URBACT and any available eligible criteria for organization participating in calls?
Sorry?
In URBACT.
In URBACT.
Yes.
Yes. I will try actually to have the link to that.
Okay, meanwhile, maybe I can also mention, because I had some communication prior to webinar with one of our members from Azerbaijan. I did not see them on the list of the countries which you showed, Martina, but I just communicated with Irma that project partners from Azerbaijan are also eligible in our program, in Interreg program, but their involvement and added value has to be duly justified, as well as their added value. So just to clarify maybe the question they might have. We have another question meanwhile, Martina. The information in specific websites for the pre-accession countries do not specify if there are open calls or any timeline.
Well, the problem is actually that once again, Interreg is a very comprehensive funding program. So this is why I try to present an overview about the different sub-programs. So when it comes to the pre-accession countries, indeed, they are part of specific sub-programs. So once again, it is very important to check the regional strategies and when actually they are opening up the calls for specific member state. Well, for specific countries.
Would there be maybe any contact you would recommend where people could share their questions or demands regarding this specific information? Whom would you recommend to get in touch with?
In the presentation I shared, I put the specific links to every sub-program. So my suggestion is to go checking the specific link of every specific sub-program. Normally there's a timeline for every specific sub-program we are talking about, and also a specific contact. There is normally handled, there is managed by the managing authority of that specific sub-program. It's very fragmented, but this is also the cohesion policy. It's very fragmented because it's trying, of course, to address regional and local challenges and needs. Yeah, so thank you, Irma, indeed.
So Irma just posted in the check link where you can check all open calls for the projects.
Yes, maybe if I could just intervene shortly. On this webpage, you can find any information for open calls for all Interreg programs. It is very tailor-made. So once you type in what type of organization you are and where you are located, you will get the results to the calls that are open or suitable for you and your organization.
And is there any way to check, let's say, whether there is anything in preparation or whether there could be any proposal, for those who are, in position to initiate certain calls? Or are there any, already propositions, policies, procedures in place?
Oh, well, that's a tough question. I would say what I would suggest, even though it sounds a bit silly, is to target specific Interreg programs where you as a young organization are eligible, and then subscribe to their newsletters, because then they inform you in advance when a call will be opened. And usually all calls from every Interreg program have to be published. It's mandatory in order to comply with the Interreg regulation from the European Commission. So all call for projects have to be mandatory published either on official web pages or similar. And the one that I shared just now is one of them. Anticipate a call for projects, it's very difficult, to be honest. I mean, to receive information about future calls. That's why I said maybe newsletters can be sometimes very helpful. This is something that is very particular in our case, because through our newsletters we inform our project partners that an eventual call for projects will be launched.
Thank you, Irma. Do we have any other questions? It seems not at this point. Maybe, we proceed with Irma, and then we have a time for questions and answers after you finish your presentation.
Okay, shall I start?
Yes, please. I suggest let's proceed to be sure that you share your presentation and your information, and then we can still discuss open questions.
Okay. So good morning from my side as well. As already introduced this morning, my name is Irma Batic, and I work as a project officer for Interreg Northwest Europe. And during today's presentation, I will focus really shortly on the presentation of the program and its priorities. And then we will deep dive into the project application to be more precise, who can apply, what makes a good project, and I will give you some information about small-scale projects, which might be also interesting for you. In case if you have any questions, please do feel free to interrupt me and to ask your questions directly, or you can wait until the end of the presentation and reach out. So to start with the program presentation, for the current programming period 2021 to 2027, the Interreg Northwest Europe covers 7 countries. Namely Ireland, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and parts of Germany and France. Due to Brexit, unfortunately, we do not cover the United Kingdom, even though they were part of our program during the past programming period. We don't know if any changes will happen in the near future, but they are very welcome to join again. Our total budget for this current programming period is around 310 million euros, and the co-funding rate is up to 60%, meaning that partners from Switzerland are not eligible to receive ERDF because they are not part of the European Union. So usually partners from this country, they apply for funding within their country, and they are usually funded by the Ministry of Regional Development and Infrastructure or other types of funding. In terms of program priorities, I will not deep dive into the details about them because, as I said, the focus is really on the project application. But it is really important that your future project fits into one of the 5 priorities on which we are focusing as a program, namely on climate and environment, energy transition, circular economy, innovation and resilience, and inclusive society. Each of these 5 priorities are supported by specific objectives. So to start with climate and environment, the focus is on nature protection and biodiversity and climate adaptation and disaster risk prevention. In terms of energy transition, you should be focused on either energy efficiency or renewable energy. And when it comes to circular economy, the real focus here would be a circular and resource efficient economy. In terms of innovation and resilience, here the focus is really on innovation capacities and the uptake of technologies. And when we're talking about technologies, it's not only or not exclusively about new technologies, but you could be also working on existing technologies and improving them, let's say like this. And when it comes to inclusive society, there we have 3 supporting specific objectives related to 3 different topics, namely to access to employment, access to healthcare, and culture and sustainable tourism. In the previous programming periods, we did not have culture and sustainable tourism, so it's a new specific objective that has been introduced with the new programming period. So what are we as a program looking for across all priorities is territoriality, cooperation, and impact. And this translated means that you need to identify common challenges in different regions, and that you want to tackle them through cooperation amongst partners coming from these regions in order to ensure or to produce an impact or improvement in these regions. Who can apply? Here is a set of potential project partners who can apply, starting from local, regional, national authorities, universities, SMEs and business support organizations, as well as sectoral associations, NGOs, and so on and so forth. At the same time, these types of potential project partners could be also or are considered as target groups for your future project. So as you can see here, we try to mix public and private stakeholders, which is very important. So when you are setting up your project, try to have a sort of mix of these players. Who can apply? First of all, you need to have 3 partners from 3 different countries. This is the minimum requirements, and at least 2 partners need to be from the Northwest European area. The map that I showed you just a few moments before is very useful in that regard. Organizations outside of the Northwest European area can join if well justified. So if you are coming from the European Union or even outside of the European Union, you can join the partnership, but your involvement has to be duly justified and also your added value in the project. There are 3 types of roles within our project. So you could be either a lead partner, a project partner, or an associated organization. The lead partner has a very important role because he is the project coordinator or manager, and he signs the subsidy contract with us. The lead partner will also receive the reimbursement, meaning the funding ERDF, which he or she will then redistribute to the project partners. So he has the legal responsibility when it comes to your project. A lead partner has to be or has to come from the Northwest European area. So an organization outside of that area cannot be a lead partner within a project. When it comes to project partners, as said, minimum 2 of them have to be from our area, whereas other project partners are not obliged to be from our project program area, sorry. They can come outside of the European Union as well. So if we have project partners from Armenia or Serbia, they're very welcome, but as said, their participation has to be duly justified. And then we have a 3rd type of role, which is an associated organization. We even have associated organizations from Canada, meaning that they will not receive ERDF funding from our side, but their travel costs will be reimbursed by the project partner to which they are linked. So to make it more simple, if you are an associated organization, you have to be linked to a project partner, and this project partner will pay for your travel cost in order to attend project meetings or similar, because you will be acting as an external expert that will contribute with its knowledge to the project implementation and project dissemination. So this is also an option for potential participants that would like to be involved in Interreg Northwest Europe projects. What makes a good project? You need to identify common challenges. So there has to be a transnational problem or need, and you need to showcase that cooperation amongst the project partners that are involved in the project is needed. So I'm going to give you a simple example. from a project partner perspective. So we have identified an unemployment rate which is very high, let's say in Brussels, Amsterdam, and Paris. So there is a common challenge in these three cities in three different countries, and we want to address them. So I will have project partners from eventually Brussels, from Paris, and Amsterdam in order to address this common challenge, because there is a need due to the fact that unemployment rates regarding, let's say, needs, so people not in employment, education, or training in these three cities. So this is just a simple example how to address this topic. Once you have defined this, you have to contribute to one of this program-specific objectives, as already mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. In this case, that would be specific objective 4.1, access to employment, which is under priority 5, inclusive society. It is also important to have realistic and achievable results that will have an impact after the project ends. In order to make it more, or let's say less theoretical, I will showcase this with an example afterwards in order to make it more accessible in terms of understanding, because this might sound sometimes very theoretical. In terms of project outputs and results, as you can see from the first column, there are 3 types of project outputs that we are expecting from our projects. So they refer to strategies and action plans, pilot actions leading to solutions, and joint training schemes. Each and every of these 3 project outputs are leading to their respective project results, meaning that, for instance, if you are producing a strategy on needs, unemployment, once you have produced such a strategy within your project, this strategy has to be uptaken by some institutions. So producing a strategy just to say, okay, hey, we have produced it, here it is, it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient because it needs to have a long-lasting effect. If you produce a strategy on unemployment rates of needs, and then this strategy is uptaken by, I don't know, a public institution in Brussels or in Amsterdam, then we can talk about results and tangible results. All the results that you are going to produce within your project will lead to organizations with increased institutional capacity. This is something that happens, let's say, automatically, but something that you should still define in your project application. We do not expect from our projects to reinvent the wheel. You can build up your project on previous experience, previous projects, or similar, but you need to explain how you're going to do it and why you're going to do it. As said, innovation is very good, but you can innovate in different ways. You need to explain also the transnational value of your project and why the organizations in your projects are actually involved in your project. So if you're an organization coming outside of the Northwest European area, it is acceptable, but as said at the beginning, it has to be duly justified and explained. So if you're having problems in Paris, Brussels, and Amsterdam related to unemployment rates of needs, then if you're having an organization that is joining the partnership from Armenia or Serbia or Greece, then you have to justify why this organization is joining. Is this organization or this city facing the same issue? Do they want to learn from the project? Do they want to share experience, knowledge, how they're going to contribute to the project implementation, and so on and so forth? So in short, how does that look in practice? So you identify territorial needs, you set up your project objective. More specifically, you design your work plan through activities and outputs, which will lead to results that are tangible, so they will contribute to change. And this change will be also reflected in long-term effects. So I've decided to present you an example through a cake in order to make it more simple, let's say, when it comes to explanation. So to start with, you have identified a shortage of cakes in Northwest Europe. There is a lack of ingredients in different regions. Let's say this is a simple example. So your project objective would be to improve the provision of cakes in 5 Northwest European countries that are most affected by cake shortages. In order to support your project objective, you will define 3 specific objectives. So one would be to enable cake provision adapted to shortages, find suitable cake variation for each region, and increase bakers' capacity to bake cakes adapted to their region. So all these 3 specific objectives are actually contributing to the achievement of the main project objective. Now you have to design your work plan through work packages. So for instance, in the work package 1, you will work on a strategy. In work package 2, you will work on pilots, meaning that you will test cake variations in each region. And in work package 3, you will, jointly develop training schemes in order to train bakers to bake cake variations. At the end, you will have a joint strategy that will be implemented by bakers' associations, for instance, in Northwest Europe. You will have solutions that derived from the pilots that you have implemented with the bakers, and then you will have a joint training scheme that has been implemented and completed by 50 bakers in each of the 5 Northwest European countries. At the end, there is a benefit for the society in Northwest Europe, meaning that there is a high quality cakes for Northwest European citizens adapted to regional tastes. So this is a short example to showcase how a project setup should work in order to be approved and funded by us. In terms of calls, there will be a call opened next month in the 3rd week of November for regular projects to which you can apply. And the deadline, the ultimate deadline for closing the call is the 21st of March. When I submitted this PowerPoint presentation, I did not have the date, but now we have it. So the 3rd week of November, the call will be open, so please feel free to apply for that. And there is another aspect that I would like to present that we have included in this new program, which refers to small-scale projects. To what do we refer more precisely when we talk about small-scale projects? Well, the aim is to allow projects to reduce, with reduced scope, size, and duration to participate in our program. And we have proposed a simplified project application and implementation process. We have specific calls for this type of projects as well. There is one that's recently closed. So to showcase maybe a difference between a regular projects and small-scale projects. First of all, for regular projects within our program, there is this 2-step phase, meaning that you submit firstly a summary of your project. And if you receive a sort of green light from our side, then you can submit your whole application form. With small-scale projects, you directly submit your whole project application. So it is realized in 1-step process, as we call it. For regular projects, there is no specific duration. So it can last 3 years, 5 years. It's up to you to define the duration of your project, but it has to be completed by the 30th of June, 2029. For small-scale projects, it's different. Small-scale projects should be implemented within 18 months maximum. And in terms of the partnership, there is no difference. So there has to be 3 project partners from 3 different countries and at least 2 from Northwest European area. In terms of co-financing, it remains the same. For regular projects, there is no maximum amount for ERDF funding. We have projects that ask for 3 million up to 15 million in ERDF funding. Whereas for small-scale projects, the maximum is 800,000 of eligible costs. The co-funding rate remains the same, it's 60%. In terms of flat rates, with regular projects, we have 7 cost categories. For instance, staff costs, administrative costs, travel costs, and so on and so forth. And there are 2 budget options, whereas in small-scale projects, there is only 1 option, which is related to staff costs. So if you're claiming 100,000 euros in staff costs, you will be automatically reimbursed 140,000 euros. So 100,000 euros for staff costs and 40,000 for the rest. In terms of preparation costs, for regular projects, it's 50,000 euros, whereas for small-scale projects, it's 6,000 euros, as they are small-scale projects, so smaller in scope. In terms of project-specific objectives, as presented previously, there have to be 3, whereas for small-scale projects, it's only 1. The same for work packages. And in terms of project outputs, for regular projects, you need to have 2. So either joint strategies and pilot actions, or pilot actions and capacity buildings. Well, it's up to you to define based on your project application. Whereas for small-scale projects, you only have to focus on 1, and the same remains for project results. So just to give you a short presentation how it works with small-scale projects, we launched a call this year in February. In March, projects were invited to exchange with their national contact points. I will explain you the concept of national contact points in a few moments. In June, we organized a workshop for small-scale project applicants in order to explain them in detail, rules, the process, and so on and so forth. The deadline was set on the 12th of July, and in mid-November, they will receive a notification whether their project application has been accepted or not. When it comes to national contact points, these are the national contact points within Northwest European area, but in every country where you have Interreg programs, you have an Interreg or a national contact point, which will guide you through the process. For those who are not familiar with Interreg programs, potential project applicants do not have to pay for this service. So they can reach every time or any time to their national contact point in order to get more information about Interreg, in order to get support with their project application. National contact points are very successful in finding potential project partners and to guide you through the whole process and explain you how in detail Interreg works. Well, as said before, for every call, every Interreg program has to publish terms of reference of every call, all the supporting documents, program manual, and so on and so forth. So all the details are usually published on official web pages that are accessible to you and where you can consult them. In case you're looking for project partners or project ideas, we have set up an online community where you can log in and find potential project partners or projects in which you would like to participate. The presentation will be shared afterwards, so you will have access to it, and then you can register and maybe find the project you would like to participate or if you already have a project idea, maybe you're missing some important project partners that could join and that you could eventually find on this webpage. All project applications are submitted through the joint electronic monitoring system that is being used by an important number of Interreg programs. You have the GEMS user manual online, and in order to be able to use it, you have to obviously register, where you can kind of discover all the functionalities the system offers you. And in case you decide to submit a project application, this is the web page you should be using. I think that would be all from my side. I'm sorry for rushing through the presentation, but I was limited by time. So in case you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Irma, for your input, contribution, and explanations. I would like to check with the participants if you have any direct questions to Irma's slides, Irma's presentation. Meanwhile, we have one question from Sarah. Is it possible that I cannot find any call for projects for Italy at the moment?
No, it's not possible, taking into consideration that Italy is involved in a number of Interreg projects. So
this is about calls. So it might be the situation, right, that the call is not yet open, or at this moment simply there is no call which would include Italy, or am I wrong?
It might be, but the possibility that no calls are open for Italy, it's a bit strange, I must say, but I don't know to which Interreg program she refers to. Is it cross-border,
right,
transnational? Yeah, there is an important number of Interreg programs, so maybe if the participant could be more specific about which Interreg program or to which Interreg program she refers to, that might be helpful.
Right. Sarah, if you want to specify further, I don't know whether this was just a general question for any Interreg, or feel free. Okay, she checked on tailor-made platform you talked about before, so she just selected probably only Italy, everything else remained unfiltered, and she couldn't find any call, open call.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know, might be possible, or for that specific or type of project partner, because if you filter based on the type of organization and on the country, and in particular based on the sector, might be that no calls are open for that
right,
specific organization or type of sector.
Okay, thank you. So we have a question from Darian regarding Northwest. Is there a list of eligible partner countries participating in Northwest Europe program calls as a partner in specific projects?
Is there a list of
eligible partner countries participating in Northwest Europe program calls? I mean, if there are countries which are basically our eligible partners and countries defined as a potential partners for specific projects under Northwest, if I understand that way.
So we, as a program, we are covering 7 countries. So partners from these countries are eligible. As said before, it's the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Ireland, parts of France, and Germany. So we are limited, or we are covering these territories, but partners outside of these territories are also eligible if their participation is duly justified and explained in the project. So
Yeah, the question is whether these duly justified partners, what are the countries, would be eligible to be these duly justified partners? Is there any limitation in terms of the country?
No, we do not have any limitations except for, as said, for instance, Russia, that was previously mentioned by Martina. Yeah, taking consideration the current political situation and the relations between the European Union and Russia, their eligibility might be questioned. Let's frame it like this. But other than that, there are no limitations. However, I would see, as I said, difficulties to have a project partner from, let's say, Japan, because as I said, we're working on common territorial challenges and how eventually Japan could contribute to a territorial challenge identified in one of our regions. That's why I'm saying it has to be duly justified why and the reasons behind its participation.
Okay, thank you, Irma. I have a question for Martina. Martina, maybe you could mention some example or perspective of focus of a project under which microfinance organizations, microfinance providers could participate under Interreg, just to give people certain perspective, understanding what could be possible to apply for.
Yes, so of course it depends on the kind of theme. An example could be, for instance, supporting enabling actually local actors such as public authority, but also private SMEs operating at local or regional level to support the digitalization of their businesses or their processes. So that kind of a project could be relevant for any kind of sub-program. Of course, it really depends on the geographical area we are talking about.
Okay, thank you. I actually also found out about the project called Microfuture. This is already approved projects, and it brings together different organizations in order to support microfinance sector, and also create basically the platform for discussion with the authorities, how to make sure the microfinance is recognized from the policy, from the regulation point of view. So maybe something even for the associations of microfinance organizations in different countries. I mean, and this is already running project where I see some partners from Romania, Italy, Slovenia at this moment. But as you are explaining, there are no limitations in terms of being a part of the projects if your position is duly justified.
Indeed. Then, I mean, I was also thinking, for instance, of the access of environmental friendly technologies, for instance, or housing that could be more accessible, financial speaking. These are all kind of activities, actions that can be funded also under different Interreg sub-programs.
Thank you. So do we have any other specific question? I think these contact points, it's worth to check about that for specific sub-programs. I mean, people from different countries might get in touch with the contact points and see, what are the plans, what are the possibilities for the future. I think you publish in the chat the links as well, so people might follow that and see, how and to whom they could talk to clarify their questions.
Yes, just to precise, for every Interreg program, there are specific national contact points. So you might have, like in bigger countries like France or Germany, you could have an important number of national contact points that are specific for different Interreg programs. As you know, like one country can be involved in different Interreg programs, and Interreg programs have different rules. I mean, they have the same basis, but still there are some differences. And then you have specific and dedicated national contact points for every Interreg program. Usually, if you know the Interreg program to which you would like to apply, on their webpage, official webpage, you will find the contact details of the national contact points to which you can reach out directly, send an email or call them directly, set up meetings, and so on and so forth. From my experience here at Northwest Europe, national contact points are very active, to be honest, in guiding you through the application process and through the setup of your project. They even read your project application form before the submission and send you comments and so on. So they're very, very useful when applying for funding.
Okay, thank you very much for this clarification. Maybe even hint, I don't know whether you would agree with me, but if there is no open call or there is no national contact mentioned, I just looked into a project approved in the past, right? And there I see some contact points on that sub-program for that particular project. So I believe that would be the contact point for the country for that sub-program.
Yes, that could be possible, but sometimes national contact points change as well. So it depends as well, to be checked, I would say.
Okay, so the time for the last question before I would like to launch this little survey. It's only 4 questions, so you do it very quickly, and we would be really grateful for your input. Any question from anybody? If not, then before I close, let me launch the evaluation of the webinar very quickly. You should already see it on your screen. Could somebody confirm to me that it's visible for you? I don't see any response yet. Yes, it's coming. Thank you. Yeah, we have still 37 people here, so hopefully most of you are going to contribute. Indeed, it's only 4 questions, easy answers. So I believe just to read through and contribute. All right. Seems like most of you have already completed. Fantastic. Yeah. Few more. Thank you. Okay, by now, let me end the poll. Thank you very much for your contribution. I hope, within this relatively limited time, you could learn at least the important information about the program. I would like to thank you very much to Martina and Irma for their time, for their preparations, for their contributions. I assume that you would be available to answer any additional questions as well if the people would contact you through email. And we will share with you the presentation, both of our speakers. And once again, Thank you to all participants for your activity, for your questions. Wish you successful applications, and yeah, have a good day, and see you in the next webinars, next activities, next projects on the Microfinance Center. Thank you very much. Bye for now.